bank holiday weekend. I hope you've had a great weekend wherever you are, whatever you've been doing. And I want to talk to you a bit about the work that I do, because I think it's always good to keep refreshing, and also speak about ancestral healing and inner child healing, which has been my focus this last few days. Let me sort of get a bit of light on the situation. Sorry, I'm in the car and I thought, seeing as I'm up north at my parents' house, we're going to talk a little bit about the work that I've done for 25 years, and I'm going to answer any of your questions. So if you do have a question, just pop it below. Thanks for being subscribed to my channel, because it means you get updated whenever I make lives or new videos. And I love to be spontaneous, and I love to be in the flow of now. And I don't know if you've been through a challenging time. This is certainly one of the most challenging times of my life. And I'm going to pop you here so I don't have to hold the phone and I can talk to you. So apologies if you think, what is she doing with that phone? So as many of you know who follow me, I'm in the midst of clearing my parents' house, which is a big emotional journey, and it's something we're all going to face. And no matter whether we've done the past life work on ourselves, the inner child work, the ancestral healing work, the between lives, this last month for me, I don't know about you, so share with me if the same thing's happening for you. This has been so much about my past in this lifetime. You know, for 25 years, I've been doing this inner work. I'm going to get my goggles so I can see if you post a question and I can answer your question. I don't know if you've been on a big journey, but everything I've been about in the last month or so has been, even the last few days, has been about ancestral healing, about connecting with my relatives again. Today, I've been out with two of my old school friends. Well, I bumped into one in the garden. The other one, we went out for lunch. It's been a glorious day. She's even bought my dad's car. I mean, I put my dad's car for sale, and someone I've known since I was 4 years of age has ended up buying my dad's car, and it's for the most joyful thing that I could imagine as a legacy for my dad's 2003 car, is that it's going to go into to be shown at vintage shows of vintage cars. So I'm super happy that it's not going to be razzed to death, and that loads of people will get to enjoy my dad's immaculate car, that it is very low on mileage. So that's a joyful thing I've manifested. And what I'm saying is, being in the flow, I could never have imagined that that would be the outcome for my dad's car. And that's the thing, setting your intention for the highest vibration that's going to happen for you and what you want to happen. So I've been reconnecting. I don't know if that's happening for you, reconnecting with the past. And energetically, I feel that's where we're at right now. And we're reconnecting with the past, we're reviewing things, we're healing things, we're coming into what I call the sacred neutral. You've got to be in the sacred neutral, because if you're not in the sacred neutral, you're going to get triggered left, right, and center into, you know, staying in animosity, resentment. And as we know, when you are stressed and anxious, your body can't absorb nutrients. So a lot of people talk about changing your diet, but if you don't deal with the core emotional issue, which is what, you know, healing the emotional Akashic records is if you don't heal that, you're not going to get the stress and anxiety out of your body, and you're not going to be visionary in your ability to deal with the situation ahead of you. And sometimes people can bring their negativity into your reality, and then you've got to override their negativity. So you want to be around positive people as much as possible. And I'm just going to see if anybody's got a little, hi everybody, if you've got a question on the work that I offer and do. So when we're going into the emotional Akashic records, that's me reading your emotional timelines of what is happening for you, and identifying the origin of the emotional trauma, so that I can share the story with you. You can clear it out of your energy field and come into resolution. And sometimes I think people don't believe that it can be that straightforward. And if you can drop into your emotional self, it can be, because we're weaving between the past lives, the inner child, the ancestral, the between lives. And I think we have this belief that it has to be way more complicated than it is. But if you can be authentic, and I think this time on the planet now is about authenticity. It's about nothing else except being authentic, because everything you thought had value in the material world doesn't have value now. Your consciousness is the most valuable resource you have, and developing your consciousness to get out of fear, to get out of anxiety, to inquire within, to resolve emotional conflicts, so that if we resolve the emotional conflict, our physical bodies are going to heal. You know, that's the byproduct of healing our emotional stories. You can't hold on to resentment. I've seen people do this, you know, they've been holding on to an emotion. Hold on, I'm getting a little bit overshadowed by this sunny shine out the window. And I'm in my childhood village. So it's very powerful to return to that. Go to the land where you're from. Reconnect with the people from the land where you're from and see how you get on with that. Because I'm having a glorious time myself. Hate to say it. I think it's reflected that I've done this work. And I don't think I was in conflict for a lot of time with this area where I'm from. I even struggled to go to the town called Nantwich, because of cellular memories I had that I had not resolved from being around 18, around people in that area, and some of the things that had happened to me. And I had this contraction in my body about going there, but I've been able to go there and feel expansive now. So when you go back to where you're from, you can observe if you've healed things or not healed things in yourself. Because if we carry that ancestral story or the inner child story that we haven't resolved, it's so powerful when we do that. Somebody's saying something. Oh, hello, Susie girl. Susie's in Cheshire as well. I've hung out with Susie in the last few days, although she isn't from my childhood. But it's the power of the land, you know, to stand barefoot on the ancestral land, to stand barefoot in your motherland. You know, I'm very blessed to be able to stand in my childhood garden. I've done some really powerful, very emotionally provocative things this weekend. You know, I don't want to keep banging on about it, but it is such a powerful time. Death and birth, and I've been to a family funeral recently. But yesterday, it's taken me since my dad passed away the 29th of November last year till now to feel ready to, I don't know why, but I got the clothes back that he passed away in, and I didn't send him for his onward journey in those clothes. So I had this bag of clothes, and they kept looking at me. They were daunting, sitting in the corner, like speaking to me. And I was like, the energy and the emotion and the confidence that I needed to, come on, you can do this. You can open this bag and you're going to burn these clothes. Because on the spiritual path, we can't burn someone's whole wardrobes with my parents. I certainly don't think it's a good idea to burn the whole of that person's wardrobe. And some clothes you might want to keep as a souvenir for your loved ones. And a lot of people often say they take a jumper of a loved one and they put it in a plastic bag and then keeps the smell. And they're like, you know, because smell's so evocative of their loved ones. But I had these clothes of my dad's and I burned them in the garden. And I put a feather on it. I put incense, sage on it, and it was such a powerful healing journey, you know. And that's the thing, you need to honor that you're in a process of healing many things that have happened in your life or are going to happen, and to have patience with yourself, to reach out sometimes for professional help. You can't process everything yourself. Not everybody can do that, you know. So going into these emotional Akashic records and going back to your motherland. Not everybody can go back to their motherland, but you can go back emotionally to your motherland. And so many times I'm taking a client when we're going back in sessions, be that online or in person, we're often seeing you going back to a place where a fragment of your soul fragmented off. And that fragment of your soul is stuck somewhere, and you need to reclaim that fragment of your soul, to be whole with you now, because you need all these soul shards brought back into the physical body of now that you're living in, to live in not just the physical body, but the temple, to be healed, to be in the body. This is such a powerful thing to do for ourselves. Does anybody have any question or a short story you want to share about what I'm saying just now? Because in the middle of my own awakening over 25 years, and having done this work with you for 25 years, I connected with my galactic soul star self, my multidimensional self, and you have to keep increasing your frequency to be able to connect to that. And there are some dubious beings in the way, and you have to be very discerning to operate between that. Let me just see if anybody is saying anything that you've got a question you want to say or share. Thank you for joining me. Can't see any questions just now from wherever you are in the world. The galactic ley lines, the earth ley lines of the world. Remember, where I stand on a ley line on the earth, you're standing on a ley line. We're connecting energetically. And so much of our stuff is about our inner child, healing our inner child. So today, to have gone with my friend that I've known since I was 4 for lunch, and to have sold my father's car to her unexpectedly, but when you hold the highest vision in your mind for yourself and an outcome, only good things can happen. And sometimes people came into your reality, like yesterday somebody came in and went, oh, I don't know what you're going to do, how you're going to get rid of your parents' stuff. Oh, I don't, drama, like, oh, I wouldn't wish to be you, oh, I'd hate to be in your position. It's like, you're just projecting negativity on me. I don't need that, because I'm in the process of evaluating a situation and deciding the best approach for me to do to that. And I might not have the absolute solution, but I'm visualizing me having rehomed these possessions to their new owners from my parents' house. I have got rid of some of them. I've sold some of them to the antique centre the other day. Not many, I hasten to add, because of the level that I'm dealing with, the level of stuff. And I could take you to my parents' house and I could show you what I'm going through. It's a massive journey, and most of you are going to have to face this. Most of you will have a partner or children or a sibling to help you. Some of you won't. Some of you might have conflict with that. Someone's put a little question here. Do you have any experience in working with targeted individuals? I've spoken a lot about, we'll talk at a tangent because I love people's questions. What are targeted individuals? Some people might not like what I share about targeted individuals, because I do speak at the BASES conference. That's a lot about targeted individuals. But in my experience with a lot of targeted individuals, not everybody who thinks they're a targeted individual is a targeted individual. I could say I've been outspoken on mainstream terrestrial television. I've ended up not working on mainstream terrestrial television for being outspoken. A lot of people, you're not going to like maybe what I'm going to say, but I think a lot of people's wounding sometimes wants to believe they're a targeted individual, when in truth, they need to heal their wounded inner child or their ancestral story. It's a form of ego to believe you're a targeted individual. I do believe there may be a small percentage of people who are targeted individuals, but what does a targeted individual mean? Who do you think is targeting you? Do you think it's the government? Do you think it's off-world beings? Sometimes it is off-world beings. That are following you through ancestral timelines, blood timelines. But I do believe, having done regression and healing emotional Akashic records of people for 25, and that's why I keep repeating it's 25 years, I have seen people getting a lot of healing through believing they're a targeted individual by healing the past lives, healing the entities that are emotionally interwoven into being what they believe is a targeted individual. So there are off-world entities that can be attached for a very, very long time, affecting you. There's also ancestral stories affecting you, and you've got to be able to weave between all that. Let me just see if you like my answer. You might not like what I've said, you know. Let me see what you said. It's more supernatural, hyperdimensional targeting. Okay, so these are beings from other dimensions. I mean, I've had experiences with beings from other dimensions. You know, I've been sucked out of my body at times in the beginning of my awakening years ago. You know, it was, I'm not going to lie, it was terrifying. You know, I think I was probably being remote viewed by people who'd contacted me because I've been on some TV shows. I haven't really spoken too much about this over the years, but the truth of it is, I look healthy now. I have processed this. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying, you know, to feel like you're being sucked out of your body, to feel like there's ectoplasm or energy in your house. There's people contacting you in the physical realm, speaking to you in reality, not in your mind, but also they're obviously remote viewing your house, remote viewing what you're about. But this is all, I believe, like a initiation to take your power back. You know, are you going to take your power back in this lifetime? I have dealt with some interdimensional off-world beings. For clients, I've helped them clear stuff with clients that have been affecting them for many lifetimes, and it's been very complex. It's been woven through many timelines, and then there's an entity sometimes attached to an entity affecting them, and then there are beings that are not in the physical form affecting them, and they've been tied into some program in another dimension, another reality, and all that can come into resolution in the now. You know, you can resolve this. And the other thing is, today, I do like to talk at tangents, so you have to stay with me for the tangent talks on Wisdom on Wheels in the car. But today, you know, one, you know, the lovely friend that I was out with, she was saying another person who I'd known in childhood, she came from a very religious background, and she couldn't grasp what I was about and was worried about my mental well-being. But really, in truth, it's her own mental well-being, because it goes against her belief system. It goes against what her father did for a living. It goes against, you know, they were deeply religious people. So it's very jarring for her, because what I'm about is the polar opposite of what her beliefs are. So it will bring into question too many things. And not everybody that you're going to experience in your reality is going to be open-minded enough to reconsider reality. Most people want to stay in a bandwidth of reality that makes them feel comfortable, that their core group of friends or people that their family are around have. I'm just going to read another question. Hold on one second. Let's see. Yeah, she's been island spice vegan cuisine has been sucked out of her body. Yes, it's very terrifying, and there's nothing you can do other than observe it and just come back into your body, you know, like ask to come back into your body. The soul suckers, yeah, you just, you know, the thing is with the soul suckers, you just have to say no. You know, I can remember the last time it happened to me, and it was, I don't know, in the 25 years, probably the last time it happened was about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you know, in Glastonbury where I lived at. And I was like, no, get lost, go away, no. You know, it's just like the mighty no. This is my body. You do not have permission to mess with me. And I don't even know what was going on in that day and time of how that I was like, no, in all timelines of existence. No, go away. You're not welcome. Go away. But not in a fearful way, just in a no, this is not happening on my watch kind of thing. No, you know, I don't do anything that opens up my energy field. You know, I don't take drugs, I don't smoke anything, I don't even drink. You know, when the doctors go, oh, and how many units a year do you drink? And I was like, oh, in a whole year, maybe 12, you know? So I don't drink. There's nothing I'm doing apart from, you know, you could say a big traumatic event could open up your energy field, trauma and shock. So you know that when you're in trauma and shock, you want to work on healing the trauma and shock, you know, observing, I'm in trauma and shock. I've got to heal this emotion to come back into my body again. I need to get back into my body. This trauma and shock, I've got to try and process it as quickly as I can. You know, that's what happened to me when my father died. I was like, oh no, my body's in shock. I can feel my body shaking. I need to go outside, walk in nature, process, you know, come back into my body, because this is not a good state to be in. But it's a natural human process of shock and grief when someone passes unexpectedly. And even if you've been nursing someone, you're then dealing with the emotional exhaustion, you know, but you have to come back into your heart, stay in love, stay in compassion. And even when we've seen, you know, family members or people around us making, you know, poor decisions that affect us, and you think, I can't believe you've done that. You know, you have to process this. You know, you've got to get out of the bitterness, resentment, the angry, that I'm not going to forgive, because you've got to forgive, because the reason you're forgiving is to set your own soul free. And people sometimes think, well, if I forgive, it means I'm dismissing what happened to me. No, you're not. You're forgiving for the vibrational alignment of your own physical body and soul. Let's see what anyone else is saying. Thanks for sharing on that. I'm hopeful that healing's possible on everything. Just depends on how committed you are to your healing. And most people who don't heal are not committed to their healing. They're not committed to changing their beliefs, because remember, your thoughts and beliefs have created that reality. So you've got to identify that you've got some unharmonious thoughts and beliefs, and you've got to try and bring those thoughts and beliefs into resolution so your body can heal. You know, if we are in alignment totally, our body has to heal. Let me see what else everyone's saying. The sun's shining so badly. I've got to just put this on so I can read. Yes, forget. Oh my God, forgiveness is the key to set your soul free. It's not about them. You know, they might not even remember what they did to you, and you're harboring all this rage and anger, you know. And when I work with entities attached to people, I'm like, do you know, because I push your consciousness into the background. So in regression, the entity comes through you, and I've been attached to this person X amount of time, blah, blah, blah. We hear the whole story of what happened. And you're like, how long have you been affecting my client? Do you know you died? Sometimes they don't know they died. Sometimes they do. And they're like, no, I've been messing with them for lifetimes. You know, sometimes when you die, they reattach because they're vibrationally compatible with you. And sometimes your lack of forgiveness towards them, or your lack of resolution, or your lack of owning your body, owning your consciousness, owning your body, means they can stay attached. So it's really about owning my body, owning my consciousness, you know, owning your organs, owning your body, because if you're not in it, something else will hijack it. It's not that difficult to understand that we all have deep work, and we can say, okay, I've healed my stuff to this point, but then life happens, you know. Same for me, even though I have more insight than the average person because I've been doing this work for so many years. Still, life events happen that can throw you left field. Like right now, you know, I'm in the midst of a major event, you know, clearing my parents' house. How do I honor my parents' house? How do I clear my parents' house? I mean, I'm going to show you something that's going to make some of you smile, and some of you might remember this, because if you don't live in the UK, I'm just putting my bag on the floor so I can show you my little thing. Hold on one second. I'm going to give you a clue. Because It's the magic roundabout. Do you remember this from childhood, the magic roundabout? Does anyone remember that? Look at this. This is mine from childhood. Look at that. It's the magic roundabout quilt with Dougal and all the people on it. Does that trigger some childhood memories for some of you? You know, so these things are evocative and powerful, and these are highly collectible. Apparently people love the magic roundabout eiderdown. So don't throw these things away. Everything is about rehoming it to the right people. And some person, you know, they're maybe not going to do inner child healing, but they're going to get a lot of comfort from being wrapped up in a childhood magic roundabout quilt. I don't need it anymore. You know, I'm not attached to it. My parents kept too many possessions. My mum maybe more than my dad. My dad kept different possessions, but they didn't do healing work, you know, so they needed all these little knickknacks and comforters and things. But you're listening to me, so you probably don't need these things, but there are other people who their thing is to do that, and it's quite fun. You know, I've been reading this magic roundabout. It was a TV show in the UK. It was a cartoon for those of you who live abroad. But even this was, you know, when I read the story about Dougal, it's cute. It's a cute little story. And they didn't have a present for their friend, for Dougal, who was this big dog. And they got a sugar cube, and Zebedee made the sugar cube really, really big. And then they carved for their little friend Dougal a copy of Dougal the dog in a sugar cube, which is encouraging you to eat loads of sugar. And then Dougal gets to get his birthday present, and he gets to eat a copy of himself, a life-size copy of himself as Dougal in sugar, made in a sugar cube. You know, so programming you to love sugar, programming you to think that it's a great gift. It's a lovely thing that friends do, is give their friends sugar. Do you see how subliminal programming is? Let me just see what else anyone's saying. Brow of calm. I'm sorry your sister's an alcoholic. And remember, you know, we have compassion for alcoholics because an alcoholic is trying to heal themselves with the wrong therapy. You know, it's trying to find a release from an unpleasant emotion or an unpleasant memory or an unpleasant dream or escapism from what's happening in their life that they don't want to face. And they think if they disassociate through drinking that will give some relief, but it becomes addictive and it's temporary, and then you need to do it again and again and again, and then it becomes like an addiction. And remember, that's why they call them spirits, the alcohol's spirits, alcohol, the hools. It's the spirits take you over, because there are spirits in these things. And you know, everything is in balance and moderation. And so, you know, you can have compassion. It is a journey and it can be healed, but I think you need to go in the direction of working in emotional healing therapy and inner child for sure. And that is going to be the healing that you need. That's going to be the bliss that you're looking for in the wrong direction. So there's help for everyone, but we have to identify we've got a problem to get the help that we need. So let me just, I don't want to miss any of your messages. These are not proper glasses. They're like blue blockers with a tiny bit of magnification, because when you sit like this, you actually can't read the small print. So apologies, like me mooning in on it to read it. Yes. So what? Yeah, Susie Girl is saying she has been in AA, 11 years sober. Wonderful, as we know, wonderful. And you know, you've done some amazing work on yourself as well, emotionally, and you know, we've worked on that, so that's great. And so any other question anyone has? I mean, the energies right now, I really think, are forcing people to go inward and reconsider everything. You know, reconsider what is your priority right now, what's the most important thing for you. And I think your time, how you spend your time. You have a choice on how you spend your time, what you do with your days. And this is what I'm becoming very aware of. Right now, I feel for my own soul that I'm doing the right thing, trawling through all the things in my parents' house. It's laborious. It's interesting. Some of them are my childhood things, bringing a lot of healing up for me, bringing my beautiful childhood friends back into my reality. That's really interesting. So there's been an interesting journey. And as we're speaking, I just had a little astrology reading the other day. It wasn't quite the way I was hoping to go with it, but it was very insightful. I was wanting to look at karmic astrology. It's my own fault because I forgot to mention, not karmic astrology, the astrology of where you live, because each place you live has a certain resonance. And I ended up living in Glastonbury, not so much Glastonbury, but the village that I live in is very similar to this village I'm at now, which is my childhood village. So we find a resonance, and sometimes it's because we haven't completed something. But I think since my dad's passing, I'm completing something very powerful in this village, that my childhood friends are reappearing from my primary school, which is really amazing. And I'm finding people very kind here. And so it's a very reflective time, and I'm in this process, and even the astrologer thought the same as what I'd picked up. So it's like a confirmation that I'm going to be doing this for the next year, but I already set myself up that this is going to take a year, maybe a little bit longer, to clear my parents' house. I'm going to work up here with my clients when I'm here. I'm going to be speaking at a couple of conferences this year, Kerry Cassidy's conference, Miles Johnson's Bases conference, may even speak at some other ones. I've got my own workshop coming up on the 22nd of June. At the Chalice Well in Glastonbury. I can talk a little bit about that. We'll be doing guided journey work, me working with the group energy. Group energy is so, so powerful. I cannot stress how powerful group energy is. So I get to read the emotional Akashic records of you in the room, because we're a small group, and help to weave what I'm saying through me. It's like the conversation is being guided to trigger the group energy, to bring in and facilitate a awareness and healing for everyone. And then we have guided journeys, guided meditation journeys, some sound frequency healing, because I speak light language. And then we always do some turning. We'll do some trusting your intuition, because the other thing is we need to trust our intuition. You really, really need to develop the ability and discernment to trust your intuition. Sorry, the sun is so shiny here. It's beautiful actually here, because it's coming near sunset. Well, not that near actually, because it's only 7:30. So we have a lovely lunch together. It usually goes on from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then we climb the door, do a sound frequency there. We're opening up healing dimensions within ourselves. That's the key, healing dimensions. Cellular memories, past life, clearing those. We don't delve too deeply individually because we're in a group, but we bring in healing, bringing in the healing, bringing in the resolution, bringing in the expanding of the consciousness, hearing your stories. I mean, the great thing is, in a group setting, you get to hear your story and you get to witness yourself in your story. And that can be very powerful. So it's a full day, the day after the solstice, 22nd of June. The link to buy a ticket is on my website, andreafoulkes.com. It's only on the homepage. I haven't put a lot of blurb about it. I'm just explaining it now. And we always have lunch included, and then we end the day climbing up the tour. And we'll be doing some intuitive developing, because we have to develop our intuition. I mean, that is the key that sets you free. And, we can inquire in the group energy into what we need. Let me see if anybody's got any questions again. On go the goggles again. Hold on, let's see. You're hoping and praying that your family get help and go to AA. Yeah, I mean, there are other ways, everybody's different. But we can just hold the highest vision. That's what I would say for your loved ones. You hold the highest vision of seeing them healed, because I think there's so much power in holding the highest vision for people. So you override what's going on and you just hold, because you can't change it for them. It's a personal choice for them. But you as their loved one can hold the highest vision for their soul and see them in the highest vision of them healed, and you hold that space in your heart for them. And then trust to that. Trust. Sometimes you have to trust people to find the right path for themselves, to turn their life around, you know. And I think people are being given the opportunity all the time, but they don't always see it. They don't always see the gift, you know, of meeting the right people. So I cannot stress how powerful inner work is. And you know, I can tell stories about inner work and I can share so much information with you, but giving you a physical experience is, and you doing that work with yourself and me going into your emotional Akashic records with you, is the most powerful thing we can do, and the most interesting, insightful thing as well. And how everything weaves into reality, and how your fears and phobias and limiting beliefs, especially limiting beliefs around money and abundance, and you know, you do need to be in alignments with abundance. Is not always oh, have I disappeared? Hold on. Someone was ringing me. I don't know if I've disappeared. Hold on 1 second. I seem to have disappeared. I might have to go because it might have cut off our video. I don't seem to be able to see now. It seems to have gone. Someone was ringing me. And the thing is, when you do this on the phone, you can't stop people from ringing you. So tell me if you can see me. Tell me if you can't see me. Tell me if it's frozen. But it looks like we're still live, but I can't tell. Just let me know. Oh, you're still here. Okay, I can't see the screen anymore. The screen has disappeared. Can you see me? Can you see me, or is it turned the camera around? I can see. Oh, you can see me. Okay, great. Well, we'll carry on chitty chatting for a while. It was like, since I've been doing this live, right, every person under the sun is calling me. Nobody rings you all day, and then everybody starts ringing you at the same time. So that's great. Thank you for saying you can see me. Do you have any other questions? And also, sometimes I think it's powerful because I work with people in person, but sometimes I work with them in Cheshire. Sometimes I work with people in London because I see clients in London, in Richmond, and I move venues, but I kind of like the energy in Richmond. And then I see people in Glastonbury and Cornwall as well. Sometimes I'm at my chalet in Cornwall and see people. And I think it's really powerful to go to different ley line, earth grid energy points and work on yourself in different energy points. And one thing I would say is, if you bibbidi bob anywhere in the UK or abroad or anywhere, whenever you go somewhere, always read the energy of the land. If you can't take your shoes and socks off and walk barefoot on the land, at least put your hands on the land. Always get your hands on, you know, you're reading the energy of the land. It's so powerful doing that. So I'm going to crack on for this evening. I'm going to go and watch the sunset, and I'm going to send you all so much love. So if you are interested, consider the full day in Glastonbury. You can book a space by email me. You don't have to pay through PayPal, but if you want to pay through PayPal, you can use a card. PayPal does take other cards. Sometimes people get confused, but if you just private message me or email me that you want to come to the workshop, because once those spaces are gone, that is it. The space isn't that big in the Chalice Well Gardens, but it is the most powerful energy space to be in. We have the powerful yew trees in the garden that we work with as well, and the healing waters flow through the Chalice Well. So I do love to run a workshop in the Chalice Well at least once every year. Even in the most challenging of times, I've tried to run a workshop every year. Sometimes I've done more, but at the moment I've got so much going on. But it's keeping a balance. Like, I've got to work with the parents' house. I've got to clear that so I can get I say get my own life back, but in a way, this is part of my journey. This is my life. This is the process that I'm in right now. And I just have to honor the journey. Same for you. If you find yourself in this process, you have to honor the journey. There's no right and wrong with anything. It's just what's right for you at this time. Let me see any. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, well, Scott, be drawn to the amethyst. You know, the amethyst is powerful. I love the amethyst. A lot of people use it for the third eye. You know, very powerful insight in the amethyst. If you come and see me, you'll see I have a massive it's like a pyramid of an amethyst in the window. I've had it, I don't know, maybe 23 years. And that's another thing before I go. Sometimes we're guided to buy things, because if somebody said, go and buy that crystal for yourself, well, no, I'm not spending a few £100s on that crystal for myself. I had to buy it under the ruse of buying it for a client. It was meant to go on a cruise ship. And then they didn't pick that crystal, and for some reason I couldn't return it, so I ended up keeping the crystal. And it was obviously meant to come to me in the first place. It was never meant to go to the cruise ship. But sometimes we have to go through these stories to acquire the things that we need, to give ourselves permission to acquire things. So give yourself permission to invest in you, invest in your spiritual journey. I have some beautiful guided meditation downloads on my website, if you're interested in those. So I send you so much love, and I would just do a little light language now before I go. So just close your eyes, breathe in, and let's bring in the May energies from this is my ancestral land, my childhood land. So I'm going to bring the codes in from this land, because I'm walking barefoot a lot here. So here we go. Ilara tukumakuya, Isara takiana urmakuya, Ishanaya ratakiana urmakuya. Isata Nura. Breathing out, felt the energies of Sedona come in then. So, one of my favorite places in the world. Breathe out. Thanks for joining me. I hope you really enjoyed that light language. And remember, post daily on Facebook. Still love Facebook. But go to my website, andreafoulkes.com, and the info for the workshop is there, and for my sessions, online and in person. So much love for now. Many blessings from Cheshire in the UK. Thanks all for joining me. Much love. Bye for now, everybody. I'm going to upload this, so it'll be live in a bit. Much love. Bye.